we're back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how you can trade high impact news the Btmm way. But before we get into that, I'm going to play you a clip of how I traded NFP last week on USD-CHF. FundYourFX is running a 30% discount on all instant funding plans, starting from a $5,000 account being $139 all the way up to a $100,000 account, which goes for $2,309. Right, so basically what we have here with FundYourFX is on each plan, right, we have a maximum capital growth. So in this case, if you start with a $5,000 account, you can be scaled up all the way up to $150,000, with the profit sharing going all the way up to 95%, with no time limits and no minimum trading days. Also, they do have a scaling target whereby whenever you reach 24% of your initial balance, they will scale up your account with another 50%. So in this case, if this is a $5,000 account, if you reach 24%, what they'll do is they'll add $2,500 to your balance. And we also have the total maximum drawdown being at 7%, right? So this offer is going to run from the 8th of September to the 14th. So if you know that you're a skilled trader and you don't need to go to the first and second phase, you can just purchase this and you will be instantly funded. What we're doing now is I'm going to be taking you through the charts, right? And we're going to be looking at a scenario, or a trade rather, that I took last week, which was on a Friday, and we had NFP on that same day. Right, so I'm always getting these questions from people if you can use Btmm to trade news, and the answer is yes, right? But I'm going to be showing you how I approach it in my own way, right? So what I believe, and with the experience that I've had, most of the time the high impact news is either used to hit the stops or complete the cycle, right? So on a day like NFP, you really need to understand your market structure. The most important thing is always the market structure. Right, so before we even get into identifying stop hunts, what you really need to understand when you open up the charts is your higher time frame, right? So the market will always follow the higher time frame, but the stop hunts and traps can be identified from your 1 hour time frame going to the lower time frames, right? So the stop hunts don't really affect the higher time frames, right? You could identify liquidity grabs here and there, but market will always follow the higher time frame. So that's why it's always important that you understand your higher time frame with clarity, right? And I'm always repeating this on this channel. If you open up a chart and you are confused about it, rather close that chart, because you'll end up creating strategies that you have not tested in any way. Right, so I looked at USD-CHF, right? Looking at USD-CHF from the daily time frame, just by looking at what we can see right now, we can clearly identify that we are in a down phase. As you can see, we had price pulling back to this order block right here, right? This supply zone right here was the supply zone responsible for breaking structure right here. So as the market was moving down, it was very clear to see what was happening right here, right? And what I had in mind was I wanted to look for shorts, right? But this doesn't mean that if you identify the market being in a down phase in your higher time frame, that doesn't mean that when you come across or when you trade high impact news, you're going to go in that direction, because the dealer can use the news to hit the stops, right? So it can always be used to induce people the other direction, but price will always follow your higher time frame. So this is what I saw on USD-CHF on that Friday as I was looking for an opportunity. to trade NFP. Remember, I don't really trade NFP all the time, all right, because most of the times on Fridays I would have reached my target. But if the market looks good, I don't really mind. But this is the time where I usually reduce my risk a bit, because you know how volatile the market gets on such high impact news or events rather. So that's what I had. So when I looked at USD CHF from the Btmm view, looking at this from the H4, what has been happening here was very simple. As you can see, what the dealer has been doing from this peak, right? We had the high of the week at that area. We broke structure on that week, right? The next day, next week, we didn't really have much, right? A bit of some ranges and some break of structures, but what price was reacting to, or rather respecting, was our order blocks. So from this order block, you can see what price did. Price pushed down, breaking structure right here, giving us a pullback, and also giving us the high of the week, right? And as you can see from the high of the week, price then traded away from that, also breaking structure. So as you can see, this attempt back to this area could not break the previous week high of the week. Right, so that should tell you something. And what I loved about this was a very clear information above the 200 EMA, one of my favorite setups. Right, so that is basically what I saw when I got to my charts. As I wanted to trade NFP on that day. Right, I don't really look at the forecast or previous data, as most of the times it might give you some false information, obviously, to trick retail traders. So I'll always follow the market. I'll always follow the market structure, right? And have if you understand what's happening in your higher time frame, it becomes easy for you to be able to anticipate a stop hunt and know how to take advantage of it. But remember, you can never really anticipate a stop hunt with that much of precision, as the dealer has variations to the theme. The stop hunts are not the same, right? But what's important is you understanding that there's certain times within a trading day where the dealer will trap people. Right, so that's what I saw. And when I looked at the charts, it was very simple. If we move to the H1 time frame, this is what we had. Right, so as the week started off, as you can see, this demarcation right here, this is Sunday, Monday, right? So on the Monday, we had this low right here. All right, price pushed up. As you can see, we can identify a level of rise, not really a long sustained run that I would look for, but it is a push. Then the next day, we also had another push to the upside into a consolidation and an attempt to this high. As I said, the market failed to break the previous week high of the week. So that should tell you something. And there we go. We had a nice peak formation right there. First leg right there. And then we had the second leg. And remember, this was now on the Friday where we traded NFP on the video that I just played you in the beginning, right? And we made profits on that one. I was actually looking at this. I actually took profits on that same Friday, right? Because I wasn't planning to hold and it was a Friday. But as you can see, going into a Monday, we had market giving us a very clean move to the downside. If I was holding, I would have grabbed a couple of more, pips right there. So that's it, guys. When we are trading fundamentals, right? You really need to know what you're doing, and when you open up charts, right, you need to understand the charts with clarity, right? Understand what you're doing, know your setup, so that you can know what to do if anything can go wrong, right? But one thing that I always say to people is there's no need for you to be hyped up about trading, high impact news like NFP, right? It's only for a few minutes. Doesn't mean the market will not move the next week, right? Because most people, what will usually happen is most people will have a very good trading week from Monday, but as soon as Friday comes, they will lose all those profits, right? So you really need to be disciplined when it comes to trading such high impact news, right? If you really like the adrenaline of this, I would advise that you use a different account, right? Do not attempt to do to trade these high impact news on your main account, because anything can happen. I've seen some NFP events whereby it will jump the stop losses, right? Usually that's manipulations from the brokers, but it's always good to rather stay away from it, because the market will always be there, right? So if I was somebody who had reached their target on that Friday, I was going to ignore this NFP move here. As you can see, on the Monday, there was a very good setup. We had a nice trap above, not really a clean trap, above the 50 EMA, which is our 50 bounce, right? And then we had the move all the way to the downside. So as you can see, we had about 70 pips to the downside, but I was probably going to take profit at like 50 pips as it's a Monday, right? We all know what happens on Monday. Monday and Friday are the trap days, right? So on Friday, the dealer will trap traders. On Monday, induce them. It's a game of trapping people. So you need to be very disciplined when trading these high impact news. But yes, that's one of the trade which I actually took on my funded account with FundYourFX. I have been updating you guys with my progress on this account, and as you can see, this account was a $50,000 account. It's currently sitting on $60,000. This means, as you can see, if I click on the withdrawal button or tab rather, the account profit on this is $10,000. And in this case, what I'm going to be doing is so basically for me to be eligible for withdrawals, I need 14 trading days, and as you can see, I've actually reached 14 trading days. I'm just waiting for the active days, which is 21. We're on day 18 now. I will be able to withdraw. So with FundYourFX, the first withdrawal is going to be 50% off your profits. So the next video definitely coming, I will be showing you proof of this withdrawal actually landing in my crypto wallet. I prefer crypto because it's a bit faster. Some bank transfers might be a bit harsh on the fees, but it's not really a problem. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when we drop any new video. Do also check out our free Telegram channel for free signals, free setups, and more educational content. Find the link in the description below.